Rules are just everywhere, right? They're on signs, they're in handbooks, they're even in how we talk to each other. I mean, they basically shape our entire lives. But have you ever really stopped and asked yourself, what are they actually for?
And that's really the big question we're digging into today. Are most rules actually there to help us all out, or are they really there to control us? Is that no trespassing sign for your safety, or is it for somebody else's benefit? It's a tension you've probably felt, and our source material gives us a really fascinating way to think about it.
Okay, but before we dive in, there's this one word we gotta know. Stipulate. It sounds a little formal, but all it means is to demand or require something as part of a deal. Every single rule, no matter how big or small, stipulates something. It's the engine that makes the whole system work. So how do we even begin to tackle that question of help versus control? Well, the framework we're looking at here proposes splitting all rules into two completely different types. And this is where it gets really interesting.
All right, so here it is, the big idea. On one side, you've got public rules. They're obvious, they're out in the open, they're supposed to benefit society as a whole, and we all kind of get why they exist. But then, you've got what this analysis calls private rules. These can be hidden, they often benefit just one specific group, and honestly, they can be pretty puzzling. So let's start with the ones that make sense.
First up, let's talk about the rules we all see. These are the public rules, the ones we tend to just accept because their goal seems pretty clear. To help all of us live and work together just a little bit better. And you know exactly what I mean. Recycling bins, don't smoke here signs, stoplights. This is the stuff we don't really argue with because it just makes sense, right? We can easily see how they create a safer, cleaner world for everybody. The why is totally transparent. It feels like a good deal for the common good. But what about the rules that don't make sense? The ones we don't really see? This is the other side of the coin, and this is where it all gets a lot murkier. These are the rules that can leave you scratching your head, wondering, wait, who is this really for? And here's the kicker, according to the source. That confusion you feel, it might not be an accident. The argument is that some rules are deliberately complicated or hidden because their purpose isn't to help the public at all. It's to help a very specific private group.
And a classic example of this, as pointed out in the source material, is lobbying. The idea is that powerful groups can influence lawmakers to create these puzzling, complex rules that just so happen to give them a financial advantage. This is presented as a perfect example of a private rule in the wild.
Okay, so let's make this real with a case study I'm pretty sure we've all felt. The source points to doing your taxes every year as a prime example of a public system that seems to be running on some very, very private rules.
And here's the mystery, right? For most of us, the government already knows exactly how much we made. Our employers literally send them the forms. So why on earth do we have to go through this whole complicated song and dance every year just to tell them what they already know? I mean, let's just walk through the logic. Step 1, your job sends your W-2 to the government. Done. Step 2, so the government could just send you a pre-filled form that you just look over and say, yep, looks good. Simple, right? But nope. We get step 3, where we're pushed into navigating this incredibly complex system. And according to the source, this is where it all clicks. The complexity isn't a bug, it's a feature. It creates a huge opportunity for an entire industry of middlemen, all the tax prep companies. From this point of view, the system isn't stipulated for public ease, it's stipulated for private profit. So when you run into these kinds of rules over and over again, rules that feel like they're built for someone else's gain, what does that do to us? It creates a very specific and frankly very damaging feeling, a deep sense of distrust.
And the source material just puts it perfectly with this amazing metaphor. A handshake feels different when the other hand is crossed behind the back. It's that gut feeling that the deal isn't straight, that what you see isn't the whole story. And that's what makes us lose faith in the rules themselves.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The big takeaway here isn't about having all the answers. It's about having a new question to ask. The next time you're faced with a rule that feels just off or needlessly complicated, you can look at it and ask yourself, is this a helpful guide for everyone, or is this an intentional detour for someone? The real power is in learning how to spot the difference.